Hello again. Happy June to you. It's been a few weeks since I have recorded, and I figured it's high time for an update. Um, this is another video episode. If you are listening on Spotify, I do have the video component for you. I'll also upload this to YouTube if you want to have a little FaceTime with me. But it is officially summer, which is exciting. I actually thought summer, I don't want to embarrass myself. I didn't think summer started this early. I'll just say that. I thought summer was at the end of June. I don't know where I got that from. Maybe because winter doesn't start until like the end of December. I don't know. That could be a myth as well. But we're here. It is summertime and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. It's heating up here in Charleston, but it's still not like sweltering hot where we're getting the heat advisories and everybody's HVACs are going out and all of that. So I still have the opportunity to really enjoy the city, which is what I have been doing. I have a cousin here who recently relocated back to Charleston. And her and I have really been like beating the streets and just having a really good time. We have festivals going on now that, we're officially in the summer season. We have the Piccolo Spoleto Festival and the actual Spoleto Festival downtown. And I have been taking advantage of a lot of those really great events. I had incurred a parking ticket in my excitement for being down there so much. So got to be more careful, got to be more clandestine with those parking spots, okay? Low visibility, low foot traffic. But yeah, it's just been really good. Last time we caught up, I was talking about my transition relationally. And yeah, it's been just transitioning. There hasn't been any update there. It's just been a time for me to reacquaint myself with what I desire and what I am willing to, I don't want to say willing to settle for because I actually don't like that language, like settling. I think everything ultimately is just up to decision making, right? But I don't like to view things on necessarily a hierarchy. So I wouldn't say settling, I would just say deciding what I am willing to choose in my life. And it's been good. It has not been like it has in the past, which I'm very, very thankful for. I kind of alluded to that in the last video as well, that this time just felt very different because my intentions were very different and my approach was very different. And so likewise, my healing process has looked very different. It's looked healthier, less messy, which is great. I am grieving the experience naturally because it was a part of my life for some months, or a year actually, in some months. But I'm accepting. I'm accepting that this is just the way that things are, right? So we're just going to welcome it with open arms, cherish what was, be in hope for what will be grateful for what is. So that's that. Still on my job search, still enjoying the time that I have to like be a free floater, being fun employed, right? Which is why I've been going downtown so much. There are times where I start to panic and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't have a job. What am I going to do? I'm going to live on the streets. And then I have to quickly catch myself and say, whoa, wait a minute, girl. Like, it's just June 3rd. Actually, it's the 4th. It's just June 4th. Let's live in June 4th. Okay. And see what June 5th looks like instead of jumping all the way down to the bottom of the barrel of possibilities. Thankfully, I still have my benefits, so I am able to continue with my therapy. I have that next week. I have a lot of updates for her, but yeah, that's been really, really helpful, and I'm so grateful for cushion, right? That it wasn't just like a wash your hands, and now I'm just kind of like left to my own, um, left to my own to figure out things on my own, I guess I can say. There was a phrase I was looking for there, but I just can't think of it in this moment. Anywho, yeah, so it's just been good to have like some transition ease there. I'm still very dedicated to what I want to do next, which is working in the industry of the death and dying. Industry of death and dying and grief services and all of that good stuff. I just feel like I have a calling for it. I have a big passion for it. And I just feel like this is now the time, right, for me to really decide, like, what direction do I want to go in? I don't think there's anything wrong with having a meantime job where it's like, okay, maybe it's going to take me some time to find the position in the industry that I really want to be in, but I still have to live in the meantime. So like doing something that isn't completely soul crushing that will just pay my bills until I can get to where I want to get is fine. So I'm kind of mixing up the pot of applications to suit those desires, but I definitely want to work in the death and the dying. I should get information on my financial package for funeral school. I don't know if I told you that I got into funeral school this year and should be starting in the fall. So once I get my package this month, I should be able to sign up for classes to become a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of South Carolina, which I'm really, really excited about. It will be, let's see, the last time I was in school was in 2016. So 10 full years since I have taken, well, that's not true. I took like a graduate class like maybe 6 years ago just to see what my job benefits would do with that. But it wasn't in the death industry. It was, what was I taking classes on back then? I think it was like something women focused, because that's also a passion of mine, empowering women, which is also a really great meantime job if I could find something there. But yeah, sometimes I get antsy and I just have to like calm myself down and remember to focus on the goal and to remember to utilize this time as like special and unique and divine for me to pivot myself into the place where I really need to be professionally. So yeah, taking that day by day. I'm very hopeful and just very grateful that I get to still try to figure it out in Charleston, because I love this city so much, and I will grieve it if I have to leave it. So fingers crossed that it is in the universal design for me to stay here. So we'll see. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was some reading material. So I wrote a novel last year. I think I talked to you about that as well. It's called Question of Affection. It's a queer contemporary romance. If you have not checked it out, definitely check the link in the description to read my 10-year plus fantasy work that I created and was able to publish thanks to Wynn's Publishing, Wynn's Books, local indie publisher here in Charleston, who I will also link below. And so one thing that I wanted to do with this time was to create another work, which has been kind of ruminating with me for a little bit, not 10 years, but maybe about a year or so. And it's a thriller. So ironically enough, I am not someone who enjoys horror films. I don't like going to like events where you're meant to be scared. I don't like any of that. But what I will do is watch like a bunch of 2020 and like crime documentaries. I'm very interested in that. I just started picking up books again from the library. That's something that I had let go of a couple of years back, and I just wanted to get back into reading fiction and being in the library. The library to me is the most magical place in the world. So yeah, I've read 4 books so far this year, and now I'm on my 5th book. I can actually show it to you because I am on video. I've never heard of this author before. Her name is Nancy Johnson, and this book is called The Kindest Lie. Very good so far. And I probably will read more books by Nancy because she's got me sucked in. But in addition to the books that I've been reading by female authors, Sophie Kinsella is another one that I picked up this year who I really like. She's very funny. She passed away, I heard, not too long ago from a degenerative disease, unfortunately, but really like her writing. And she's a Brit, so extra points. You know I love the Brits. And if you don't know, now you know. But yes, I also got into Mr. Stephen King, right? The person who doesn't like horror is now like obsessed with Stephen King. And I researched how many books he has, and I'm just like, this can be like my lifetime book love, you know, because it'll probably take me a lifetime to read all of the Stephen King books that he has written. But I really like it. I like it a lot. I don't know what the difference is for me between watching like a horror film and reading like a horror genre novel, or watching like crime shows, which in essence are sort of horrifying, but there is a difference. I don't know if I can articulate what that is exactly, but I don't feel scared. I feel intrigued with my horror books and with my 2020. And I don't know, just knowing that someone is like I think it's all about intention somewhat, because like with movies and cinema, they are like specifically designing the music and designing the elements to scare you, versus with 2020, these are real situations with people who have psychological illnesses, and that's fascinating. I guess you could say like the writer is trying to scare you too with like the horror books, but it just doesn't feel the same, you know? It doesn't scare me as much to read something scary as opposed to like see it and not in like anticipate it, you know? I don't know. But anyhow, I'm into that. And so one thing that I wanted to continue really writing was a horror novel. I guess I could call it a thriller that I wanted to finish, that I had started about a year or so ago. So that has been like my new fascination. So we'll kind of see where that goes. I'll keep you posted. And then the last update that I wanted to give you guys was on something that I wrote for myself. I started this yesterday, actually. It just kind of came to me. I am a journaler, so I have been journaling on Tumblr, my personal notes and files forever. I think 14, 15 years now. And I've written letters to myself, and I'm always very like reflective, and it's basically just like an internet diary, if you will. Well, the other day I was thinking it might be beneficial to me, especially in a time like this, to write a sort of manifesto or declaration for myself, to just kind of realign on like, okay, we've lived 3+ decades on this earth in this body, and I've gotten the data from how that has gone so far. Now, moving forward into however much time I may have left, let's kind of like redo some things. Let's rethink some things. Let's like put down what was working and what hasn't been working, and like what our intentions are moving forward. And let's make it like a manifesto of sorts, or a declaration, so that I can return to it and remember when like things get frustrating or life starts to go in directions that I didn't anticipate, so on and so forth. And that all makes sense as I read it to you, because that is what I wanted to do. It has been so far a really refreshing experience for me to reckon with myself in this way. I think there's something very special about documentation, whether that be through writing, through art, or through just like making voice memos. Like this, me speaking in this podcast forum is a form of documentation for me. And even though I don't think I ever want to have any kids, nor do I think that that's in my trajectory, there's something that feels comforting to me about leaving records of my existence, right? So that friends, maybe kids that my friends have, people who, I don't know, maybe pick up my book one day, 100 years from now, if books even exist then, can just see that like I was a person and I had a personality and I had an arc of development. And hopefully that will be encouraging or just intriguing in some way. So with that said, I wanted to read a bit of my working document of my manifesto. And maybe you'll be inspired to write your own. Okay, so the preamble says, I am writing this manifesto as a declaration of the principles and ethics I am to live by for the remainder of this lifetime. I may return to this document for renewal during times of doubt, misalignment, or uncertainty. This is a living document and may be amended for clarity, contribution, and elimination as applicable. Next section, purpose. Since my soul chose this contract as Tia Lachey, daughter to Sharon and Helen and Bernice. Bernice is actually, you see her right there in the blue dress? Sharon and Helen and Bernice and Charlie, among others unknown, Adam the Fourth and Adam the Third and Doretha, among others unknown, in this brown skin and brown body, I am beholden to its fulfillment, lest I nullify the contract with my lack of dedication and return from this body to renegotiate another contract under similar terms and conditions. I chose to be here. Why? I cannot recall. But in my veiled wisdom, I knew that this life, this contract, was needed somehow. It is my responsibility to immerse myself in all that it entails, despite my understanding of why. The answers will come when the contract is complete. Section 3, Mindset. Given this purpose statement, I am living a life of meaning. There are moments of uncertainty or diversion, like job loss, breakups, health outcomes, politics, etc., that disrupt my veiled understanding from my carnal one. Carnal understanding is linear. It is prescribed and indoctrinated. That does not imply that carnality is without utility. These principles are intended for survival. They are meant to protect and serve for a better collective human experience. There will always be aspects of carnality to respect and abide for my greater good and the good of those around me. Veiled understanding supersedes the carnal. It speaks to the infinite wisdom of the Spirit. It serves to work within the limitations of humanity to ensure contractual terms are met. It directs and disrupts as needed to ensure soul purpose is fulfilled. It is often mistaken for misfortune, but it is not ruled by the constructs of human governance. It can shift circumstances in any direction at any time without comprehensible rationale. It is a quick and unbound energy, and it is always working in your favor. Thus, as I determine perspective on situations in life, I must allow myself to center assignment over circumstance. The details are merely decoration. The living and immersion is the point. What is really being communicated to the soul through the body? Am I listening with my spiritual contract in mind? Section 4, Guardrails. This is an active list of declarations. This is an active list of dedications to myself in this contract. Number 1, I must trust myself. Even when it leads me astray, I cannot then decide to put my sole trust in others. Intuition is my compass. If it leads me down roads that I didn't intend to go, then I must trust that Spirit ordained it for my soul contract. Maybe failure is meant to teach me how I betrayed myself in the process of self-trust through willful ignorance. Maybe it is teaching me that self-trust doesn't always have to make sense in the right here and right now. But I must lead with my gut, always. Number 2, the details of life in this contract are not all available to me now. That means that I can't hold unmalleable beliefs about my life. What I love now might not be what I must learn to love later. The people who I am in community with now may have a seasonal expiration date. What feels familiar may not be forever. This is a direct tear of the carnal way from the veil's wisdom. Carnality teaches consistency. Consistency is comfortable. Spirit is the most consistent at being uncomfortable. That's kind of the point. But discomfort does not mean danger. With wisdom and trust and intuition, you escape the silent lies of what feels safe in the moment. Number 3, you may pause, you may reflect, you may emote, but you must not give up on yourself. Giving up on yourself means succumbing to the obstacles you face while ignoring your inner need to strive for what you truly desire. Even when it makes sense to, you must not trade convenience for the destiny of your soul contract. Use the stepping stones if you must. That's still movement. Just don't get stuck there. It is merely one scene on the journey to where you know you're going. Don't give the meantime permission to cloud your life. There is a light behind those clouds that you should continue to seek. Even if you never feel like you'll find it, the seeking is contractual, and you will find spirit waiting to meet you along the way. Number 4, there is no need for you to apologize for the mistakes you've made along the way. There is a need for you to observe them, learn from them, and apply the findings from them moving forward. You don't have to pretend like they didn't exist. It happened. It changed you, and we're here now. It can't be any other way. So let's move forward with them in the storage bank alongside all of the many other beautiful things. Embarrassment is natural, but it doesn't have to be convicting. You did the best you knew how at the time, including willfully betraying yourself because you thought that would satisfy you. Now you know better. Now you are doing better, and you will continue to do better than you are now. You shouldn't carry that shame. Let your progress empower you. Number 5, patience is your superpower. You don't have to rush anything. You are the observer. Let life teach you in its own time. Reckon with the frustration. What is lying beneath it that disrupts your trust that everything is working out as it should? Remember that you are a student of life. You signed the contract to allow it to reveal things to you in your soul's evolution. Let life reveal itself to you. Find crevices of joy in the most unlikely of places. It is always there, so let it be a balm to your irritation. Section 5, Appendix. Here are a list of lived situations to help apply the ethics and principles of this manifesto. Number 1, from Guardrail 3, job loss. There was a time when my greatest fear in life was losing my job. Then I lost my job in May of 2026, and it freed me. It frightened me, but it released me to a version of myself that has been screaming to be revealed. I am still finding my way to her in June 2026, but I am honoring her for once. I am excited for her. I am nervous about the path ahead to unveil her, but I know she's done hiding, so here we are. She can finally be free. Guardrail 4, relationships. I've lost nearly every relationship I've ever made outside of my family. And that once brought me a ton of shame, wondering what's wrong with me, asking myself if I am worthy of being loved. Now I look on it with reflection of the ways I refused to love myself, which led me into those relationships in the first place. And that love I have for myself is now paramount. It supersedes how I am received by others, how I am treated by others. I am devoted to myself, so anyone else is merely an invitation to share this love with me, and I with them. I have desires that must sometimes go unmet in order for me to honor my own devotion. That is my latest lesson, and that's a hard swallow, but I know it's necessary. I'll keep working on that. And that, my friends, is what I have written so far of my manifesto. It's going to continue to grow. I have not posted it yet. I think I'm going to end up printing it maybe and putting it somewhere in the house. But it's really nice to just be able to take a minute to decide, like, what the hell, with all of this life experience and all of these things that are just happening, and the ways in which we are just kind of trying to trudge through life and, get through it the best way we can. It's nice to just take a moment and say, whoa, what happened here? What do I want to do with all of this data and information? So that's what I'm actively trying to do. I very much so feel like I am in a space of rebirth in a lot of ways. Maybe not rebirth in the sense of not having the experience, but evolution, I suppose, would be a different way of putting it. I just feel like all of my life experience up to this point has helped me to make some decisions on what it is that I truly desire for myself and of myself moving forward. So that's it. I'm not going to belabor the point. I hope that you feel inspired to create a manifesto for yourself. It's actually a lot of fun and it's very satisfying. And I hope that you are doing well. And I'll catch up with you in, I guess, a couple of weeks or whenever I have something else to say. So until next time, thanks for listening.